Welcome to Amplify Purpose with a Little P, your guide to living with intention, presence, and authenticity. Get ready for powerful conversations that'll help you uncover your unique path to purpose, taking it one mindful step at a time.
Thank you very much, Noi and Leo, for joining Amplify Purpose with a small p. Today, we're going to have two discussions with Noi and Leo about purpose, how it has shaped them in their life's work, and what they're doing currently. So maybe to start off, maybe Noi, ladies first, could you introduce yourself and then we'll pass it on to Leo?
Oh, hi, I'm Dr. Shivatra,
Okay.
Thai in Thai, nickname Noi. So my background is scientist. I did master program in computational biology from UPenn, and then
Okay.
more on hormones, stem cells, and nutrition at Columbia. And then most of my work before was on diabetes, and I author one of the most cited work in diabetes. But now I shifted my focus to the space of wellness because I am more interested on getting people not to get sick instead of let them be diabetic and try to kill
Thank you
them.
for doing that.
And then want to create scientific backed tools, and then that help simplify complex informations that would help individuals to make wellness easier for them. And one of the tools that I'm co-creating is called Cellternity.ai. So it's how to help people on living in a good health for a long time.
Leo, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Leo Selly. I'm a medical intensivist. I work in a medical ICU at one of the hospitals in Boston called Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center. Research is at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and the focus is on building agency, bridging communities, so we could leverage the power and the value of artificial intelligence in the way we deliver care.
Thank you. Thank you. And I think building communities is so important. And I think building communities is a human nature of us, right? I think we are social animals. And so just wondering for the two of you, what do you think about the phrase being human in an age of AI?
There has been a lot of discussion of humans in the loop, and people think that the role of humans in the loop is to be the arbiter, to be the judge of ground truth. And we actually would like to take a different position. We think the
Okay.
role of humans in the loop is to preserve human agency. And this is why humans have to be part of the human AI system, but not specifically to decide when there's disagreement between the machines or between humans and the machines. Our role there is to make sure that we continue to thrive and we are able to design the system that will allow us to continue to thrive. It sounds so philosophical, but to me, this is the age of the Great Reflection. It's not the Great Depression, but it's actually the Great Reflection, because what AI is allowing is for us to zoom out and ask ourselves, what is it that we want? What is it that makes us happy? How can we use technology to make us happy? So that to me is what being human means in the age of AI. It means being more human as we compared to what we were before AI came around.
Understand. But some people might think that we were always human. And when you said before AI coming around, when you say we will become more human, so what was the baseline, right, that you're referring to?
Yes, we'd like to think of ourselves as knowledge generators and knowledge implementers. But AI came around, and it turns out that AI is better in terms of retrieving information, generating new knowledge, which means that no longer is our main purpose in life. And this is why I say that since AI is definitely going to be better than us when it comes to retrieving information, aggregating information, translating that information into knowledge, then what should we do? And to me, this is why this is the great reflection. This is really thinking about what have we been doing that has led us to this stage. And this stage, what I mean there is that we are facing the same problems as we had faced in the last centuries. We had not made any progress. And one thing we could learn from history is we never learn from history. But maybe this is a time where we can change that. And AI might allow us to do that because these are very powerful tools that could go back thousands of years and see exactly where were we messing things up, because humans always mess things up. And the great reflection is giving us an opportunity to perhaps truly learn from history, which we have not done. Well, people would argue that we do learn from history, but not to a point that we should be in a much better place now if we had only learned from history. And we are not. The amount of inequities, yes, we have lengthened our lives, but are we living fulfilled lives? Given that we now have doubled the lifespan of people from centuries ago, but maybe they were happier than we are because now we are expecting so much more and we are no longer easily satiated by what we have. So what does it mean to be human now? To be human now, perhaps, is really learning of what is it not to be human.
Understand. I think it's very deep. And I think there are a lot of questions and introspection and extrospection that we should do to get to understanding it, and also understanding our biases, our preconceptions of what should be and what is. Noi, any thoughts of your own, as well as if you want to reflect on what Leo shared?
So it's such a profile perspective. But just to narrow down a little, so the theme that we are talking about, we used to be external focused, and AI tools will allow us to be more internal focused. So let's go to external focus, then we can look at the elements that we can design a system that how we use AI and retrieving information, processing information to reduce all our difficulties, not sleeping enough, eating bad food, not exercise well, all these things to assist us, right? So that we can have more sharpen our skills to look and to supervise them into what we want and how we can grow in a more compassionately to ourselves and to our communities. I guess that's my take from what Professor Leo shared.
Sure. Understand. And I really like the word and phrase compassion and compassion to self. Can you elaborate a little bit more about that? Or maybe share your personal experiences?
I think the education system that we have been put through as X and Y was like that. It's about being excellent, being competitive, and being the top of the pyramids. But and winner takes all attitudes. And in those kind of accumulating into our attitude, and then it's actually, I've been listening to others influencers as well as that. It's actually quite a struggle for XY to relearn from being addicted to being special, being excellent, being the top of their games, right? What if 99, 95% of the time, you are not in that mode. Now, how do you treat yourself? And what has been in the past, in the pre-AI dominated era, is that we are not very kind to ourselves, and just continue pushing without knowing what are the good balance for our own self.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. I could definitely relate to that. My own journey of self-love, self-care only started less than 3 years ago. And as I did more inner work, realized that some of the behavior, some of the thinking, some of the decision makings, I really didn't respect my own personal boundaries as well as my professional boundaries. And in a way, obviously, I'm not physically harming myself, but I think mentally, emotionally, and perhaps financially, I was doing self-harm. So I think it's really important about compassion and compassion to self. Leo, any thoughts?
So I'm going to push back a little bit and
Okay,
see.
please.
You
Only
might
expect that,
want-
Leo.
Yes. So there is a tension between self-love and also yourself as being the center of the universe.
Yeah.
And I'm going to quote, and I think he is Hindu, when he said that enlightenment is going from being somebody to nobody and from nobody to everybody.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we need to balance that. Yes, of course, we need to take care of ourselves, but there's a blurry line between doing that and being focused on oneself too.
Yes.
So where is that balance? I'm not saying that we shouldn't be taking care of our bodies. So how do you merge these two concepts of putting yourself before anyone else? Because if you are not healthy, then you won't be able to look after others. And at the same time, not putting yourself at the front and center and aligning your love for yourself with your love for nature, your love for your fellow humans,
Yes.
your love for the rest of the universe.
Very easy.
Very easy. Okay, we have the answer. What is it?
Yes. Basically, like what Professor Leo just said, it's nobody to everybody. So what when I experienced was that a lot of time we cared so much about other people, but not caring about ourselves. So basically, you want to do no harm to yourself and do no harm to others, right? That's the principles. And by doing harm, it could be non-obvious to other people, but growing up as being top of the class is that just if I make just a tiny mistakes that doesn't matter to other people, I judge myself very harshly. Like I would never say something like that to anyone else. So to go back to your question, it would be to be aware that by at the same time that if you're putting yourself in front, so basically selfish, right? Being selfish is meaning that could basically take advantage of other people or harming other people. But if the act is doing no harm to neither to yourself or to others, then it is the guiding light to what you want to do.
For my own take, I feel like one area I'm exploring is feminist leadership. And to me, it's not about gender. It's more about working together with people who might not share our beliefs and values for a greater purpose or goal, and to put our self-interest second. So I think, and in one of the feminist values is actually collective care. And I think it resonates with what Leo was saying, that how do we balance taking care of ourselves, taking care of our collective, taking care of other human beings, taking care of the plants, the animals that we share the world with, as well as the world or the environment that we all share together. And I think if we do more of this collective care, and of course, we also do self-care, self-love as well, I think it's very powerful. And I don't think it's necessarily either or. I think it's an and.
I was going to say that I think the love for yourself becomes almost automatic when you love others. But sometimes loving others is not necessarily aligned with what you are doing. So again, we are judged by our key performance indicators. And I would argue that those are not loving others. Like
Yes.
learning
Exactly.
has been decoupled from the joy of curiosity. Like learning now is what diplomas did you get? What degrees did you get? It's no longer about really having this thrill when you're discovering something. When was the last time you met a student who says, I wake up every morning really excited to learn something new? It doesn't happen. They're all worried about their exams. They're all worried about, am I going into the top medical school? It's almost if you learn how to be a caretaker of the universe, somehow I'm pretty sure you're going to learn how to love yourself too. You don't have to even prioritize one over the other. They come together.
Yes. I think it's put beautifully. And it reminds me of one of my mentors and friend that I hold dearly. And he had a great advisor in college. And his advisor gave him his degree and go, congratulations. Now it's the beginning of your real life lessons. And everything that you did to get the degree didn't really matter anymore.
The problem is by the time you get the degree, you're hardwired and you're no longer looking for what matters. And that's the problem. You waste your time in the educational system. You get brainwashed of what is important. And by the time you finish, it's too late. It's hard to unlearn they have taught you.
Wow. That's super powerful because I talked to a friend and her daughter went to Harvard. And after 2 years of learning whatever she wanted to learn, she decided to drop out and join the entrepreneurial venture of my friend. And I think education and even at an institute like Harvard is being questioned by these youths as well as myself. I graduated from Penn, Wharton. I also question, is there a place for these educational institutions? And if there's a place, what would it be? Or Leo, do you have any thoughts?
Professor Leo, you want to start first? Or I'm not sure if I can, because let's say I taught in medical school for a bit before I resigned. Is that just as Professor Leo said that I actually never met a medical student that appreciate knowledge.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's all about grades and exams and how they would get a perfect grade, which is maybe but then in a science faculty, maybe still some, but it's less so in a professional degree. But if you want to be a doctor, you still need to go to medical schools. But I don't know how you could make medical educations more wholesome.
It worries me because the world and the knowledge is growing exponentially. And Leo say with AI, we're uncovering so many things. And if we don't have the interest to explore, wander, make mistakes, ponder, dream, I wonder. And then the other thing is if we're also focused on our scores and what courses we take, how many degrees, which was definitely one of them myself, would we lose touch of how to be a kind human being, both to ourselves and to the people we're taking care of? Let's say if we work in health and well-being.
I don't think we've ever come to a point that we were good humans. We have not. If you look at the wars, actually now we have less wars than we had maybe a century ago.
Yes.
So
Agree.
in that regard, definitely we've made some improvement. But AI is outing us. I think never has it been so crystal clear how broken the systems are. The systems for education, the systems for knowledge creation, the systems for innovation. And it became so crystal clear because AI put the data at the front and center. There is no hiding from the data. And what AI is doing is truly accelerating the crumbling of systems, which should have happened a long time ago. So to me,
True.
AI is a Trojan horse we've been waiting for so that we could dismantle and rebuild systems for education, systems for knowledge creation, systems for innovation. But the world needs to change. If you want to not change anything, ironically, we have to change. So I think if we fail, it's because we failed to reimagine what the world might look like. Will there be a role for universities? I question that because you will not learn AI in the classrooms because it's moving so fast. Every day, there are 10 to 15 new papers, new tools.
Yes.
So by the time you have a course, it's outdated,
Yes.
which means the learning is happening on Zoom. The learning is happening on WhatsApp. And maybe this will completely disrupt universities because you're not going to be an expert in this field by getting a degree. You're going to be an expert in this field, but being able to connect with other people who don't think like you. So that's the other thing is that universities have become echo chambers or different echo chambers.
Yes.
And you no longer explore outside your own cocoon.
Yes.
And by moving away from universities and allowing us to converse, dialogue with people outside our fields, our phones, our computers, then clearly that's going to offer more value than going to universities. So universities have to rethink what would be our role now that we're going to be an outmoded way of teaching, outmoded way for learning. So again, AI is giving us this magnifying lens to scrutinize everything that we're doing. And can we completely redesign, re-engineer how we learn, how we teach, how we work together so that we're able to leverage this technology and we're able to become better humans for once.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I agree. I've been struggling with the state of inequity and injustices, primarily in health, because I work in public health. But I see it in financial services. I see it in pretty much any sector. And it is worrisome when we don't have people who dream or enough people who dream of an alternative future and also work on making it happen. Noi, can you share a little bit about what your dream is of a better future and what are you doing?
I think there's many layers that I can address that. But let's go to the easy one first. The one I'm doing is the wellness tools called Cell Eternities, which is just using available data in the public spheres and regulations to simplify and help people understand what supplements means or which one is good for them or what do they need, what is appropriate for them. So it's still basic levels, not the deep, in-depth, advanced AI. So it just for me to get going in this sphere. But personally, I think of course, all these tools are more targeted to people who middle age to older age. But to me, the more worrying are more the newer generations, meaning the alpha beta is that we have a lot of very high rate of teenage committing suicides that clearly they don't maybe they feel overwhelmed with all this very fast growing information world. And for me, being older is that at least I know what to prioritize and what's important. AI is actually good for me so that I can have more hands and more getting things done faster. But for younger people, they even don't have time to learn the tools at how to handle depression, how to handle angers, how to handle all those inequalities that maybe they experience or other things. And then they have to, at the same time, they have to handle these tools and try to use the tool into to their needs or their activities. Maybe there's certain area that they would be better than us in terms of creativities or new spheres. But in terms of the core being human, how do we even have the tools that are available for them actually? And a lot of the philosophical tools actually even more in the language of like even the Western or Easterns are more like basically older language that it's not even accessible for the younger kids or teenage or I think one of the rates that's keep going up is the suicides in kids. Then then as we grow advanced,
Ju-
they don't even know how to handle themselves.
Just to clarify, so you're saying that with the power of AI, the abundance of media from various channels and the abundance of all these views, and maybe the AI or the owners of AI perpetuating or reinforcing some behavior or feeling, do you think these things are contributing, or do you just feel that the underlying is already existing?
I'm an optimist. So I am hoping that after building the wellness tool, then I can bring the tools, AI tools to address the issues that would help them more interested or more accessible for them so that they can learn how to self-love and self-care and to nourish themselves or how to handle with all of the disappointment or the competitive of the broken system by using AI as a tool. Whether or not there's some of those, I think it's that accelerating. It's already existing from the social media, right? So I'm not sure how AI, at least currently my experience now is that they tend to go the opposite, that they more hunger about being real or being authentic, that if they see some social media that use AI, I think they would probably like not so into it. I think a lot is more of the older people that listen to the AI YouTube AI generated YouTubes.
To me, I think mental health and well-being and suicide or self-harm is something that we all need to address. And I also wonder the current way that we're addressing it, where we look at the victim or we victimize the people who suffer from it. I think I like your narrative. I think if you are building an AI for mental health and resilience, it's really about creating the self-awareness and almost like the vaccination against all these disappointments that is part and parcel of life. And I think that's a positive narrative. Thank you. Leo,
So this
any
is
thoughts?
this is the tension I'm talking about, of where do you draw the line of taking care of yourself versus taking care of others. And what I was thinking while listening to you both is that we have become such an individualist in the way we function as a society. So we move from being individualists. So the prehistoric men. They were all trying to fend for themselves, and then they realized by banding together, they will thrive. And then somehow the pendulum swung back to, it is about me learning, it is about me achieving something. And we're now at the other end of the pendulum. And can we swing it back to, we are part of a community. The only way we can learn is we learn together. So, and this is why I question universities, because universities are not about collective learning. Universities are about individual learning. You get assessed individually. Maybe we assess you as a team. Maybe we assess you as a community. So where is the distinction there of me at the center of my universe and me being at the periphery, looking in, seeing how I can contribute to the world around me? So how can we swing the pendulum back to focusing on the community rather than focusing on our own mental health, our own well-being? I'm not saying it's not important, but this is a very tricky path to navigate.
Leo, you and I, we've been trying to build these communities a little bit. And you always say, we need the social scientists, we need the philosophers. And in a way, I feel like if we were to learn together, then each one of us should specialize or focus in what comes naturally to us. And as a collective, when we combine the strengths of everyone's natural talents and gifts, I feel like we can learn a lot more and a lot deeper. And we can think about problems worth solving. And we can think creatively about how to solve.
So I think my question to both of you would be, do we have a model for collective learning that we can think of? For me, what I can imagine, maybe sort of form of orchestra. There's different pieces of musicians, but then still you need a conductor. And I was just at my hometown candle festivals, which is very big in people come together, and then it's about representing each communities, each that center around the temples, and then there would be people who craft the candles in a gigantic form, but then there would be people who dancing, doing other things, but it's a big effort. But I think the things that by either the orchestra bands together, which is the song, I would say is the purpose. So the candle festival in my hometown is that they want to show off the work of their communities, but along the journey, everyone's just being together. But some contribute a little, some contribute a lot, not equal contributions. But then this kind of, I mean, we have been doing it as a traditional for a long time, but then people feel more motivated recently because of the social media that of the things of that whatever they do are being seen. Because when I was growing up, I would just avoid it. That no way I would contribute. I would just go to my studies. Like I'm not gonna dance in the sun for practice for many days. Yeah, there's a lot of elements about as part of human is being recognized. Really keep people even more motivated, and then what bind them together is the same purpose. Even though whatever that people are doing are a different part, but I don't know how that would translate in terms of learning models or university models.
Thank you for sharing. Leo, collective learning. Any models, any ideas?
We don't have any good models for collective learning. I don't know about other maybe non-Western history or civilization of whether they have explored this. How do we evaluate communities? rather than individuals. The only thing I could think of is when we do the recertification for advanced cardiac life support, we are
Okay.
actually graded as a team. So we usually take an exam with a nurse, with a pharmacist, and although we are still given individual certification, all they look at is how we interact with each other during the simulation cardiac arrest. And there's an understanding that it's not equal contribution. So I wanted to highlight that because people always, and it's one of my pet peeves of having this standards for becoming an author. And then the first author is the one who wrote the most part of the manuscript. And it doesn't acknowledge privilege. So I always say that you wrote the most because you did not have to take care of your 3 children. You do not have to take care of a sick grandmother because you do not have to do 3 jobs. So even this idea of having time for yourself, we need to acknowledge that we have the privilege to think of ourselves.
Yes.
People who are stuck in the middle of Gaza do not have that privilege of taking care of themselves. They're stuck in a war every single day. So again, this is the tension between how much love do I give myself and how much should I be aware of what's happening in the world? Because again, we are here, we come from very privileged positions.
Yes,
We have the luxury of talking to people who don't think like us. The average person does not have this privilege.
Yes.
So we are born in the third base of a baseball game. Most people are born on the first base.
Yes.
And we need to take that into consideration. So being able to even speak about this, about self-love, to me, is already a manifestation of extreme privilege.
I agree. Thank you for calling it out. And I think it actually resonates with something I'm exploring with my business coach. And we're thinking about creating a Web3 platform that allows people to create value that is valued by the community and the people themselves. And depending on their contribution, and it could be unequal contribution, but as long as there are people to verify and have the proof of work, that the work was done, it was a certain quality, it added value to the community and people, we should be able to give them recognition and we should be able to give them some reward. And I'm hoping that this system is not governed by a central authority or entity, but really it's distributed to the communities and to the people so that they can leverage it for whatever they feel valuable at that moment, which might change from year to year, from situation to situation. Are there any last words you would like to share with our listeners?
I think I will take Professor Leo's question as my homework in terms of the first stage people, right? That what kind of tools that we can create to help them to feel at least more centered and more, or how we would build AI tools that would be available for them so that there's maybe more, they may be facing even more disappointment or more unpleasant experiences. That's a good point for us to be aware when we design a system, that how do we give or make it more accessible to people who are not that privileged, but or how do we build the basic tools that would be useful to even to for those people that they can utilize and make their life less painful, at least feeling less painful.
Thank you. Leo?
I think we're in very exciting times. And I think that we've never seen this much evolution happening in real time at such a fast pace in history. And we call this a Promethean moment. Like Prometheus, we are discovering fire. And there are two options. We could burn down the world with it, or we could create something beautiful. But that creating something beautiful requires us to think very differently, requires us to talk to philosophers. So I also I have been shaped by feminist philosophers in the last 2
Okay.
years. I talk to them almost every day on WhatsApp.
Okay.
And I
Wow.
realized that feminist philosophy is not about feminism. It's about
Yes.
looking out for those who are always left behind.
Yes.
And this is what excites me. This is what keeps me up every morning feeling excited, is that there is a tremendous opportunity to blow things up because
Yes.
AI is infiltrating every sector of society. And we could use this as our opportunity to convince them that it is time to rethink the world. It is time to truly be focused on the community rather than the self. And I don't need to tell people, we don't need to prescribe how we should be doing this. I think it's clear that we here do not have the authority, the perspectives, the lived experiences to be able to prescribe that.
Yes.
All we could prescribe is that we need to be doing this with a lot more people whose voices have been historically muted. And we always say it's actually very easy to teach critical thinking. All you have to do is to bring people who don't think alike together and create a psychologically safe space for them to question each other. And suddenly it comes naturally. It's almost
Yes.
magic. It
Yes.
conjures yourself before your eyes. People critically thinking without telling them specifically to critically think.
Yes.
So you cannot teach critical thinking to a room of CEOs. It's not going to happen. You cannot teach it to a room of scientists. It's not going to happen.
Yes. Yes.
Because they all have the same blind spots.
Yes.
They won't be able to critically think. I love the saying, if everyone is thinking alike, it means that no one is thinking. Because if someone was thinking, that person would have pointed out, hey, our blind spots are overlapping. We're not seeing the world in its entirety. So to me, again, I'm excited by the immense opportunity being given to us by AI to blow things up.
Thank you, Leo. Thank you, Noi. And I'm excited by today's conversation. I'm invigorated. I will continue to work on helping those on the first base to get to second and third base. And we'll all go into home base together. And in terms of feminist leadership and feminist values, I think it's something very important. And I remember reading a book called Healing Organization. And there was a chapter in it where it was talking about how the founding fathers of the US, when they wrote the Constitution, they were referring to actually how the native indigenous people were running their communities. And yes, a lot of the leaders were male, but there was a council of senior wise women, and they can always veto the male leaders in their decisions and challenge them. And conveniently in the Constitution of the US, they left that out. And I feel like we really need to think more and we really need to live more in terms of looking out for everyone and looking out for those who don't have a voice or have a lot smaller voices than us. It's been invigorating to talk to you too. And thank you so much. I know you are really busy. So thank you for being on my podcast, Amplify, Purpose with a Little P. Thank you, Leo. Thank you, Noi.
Thank you. And bye.